listening to Peterborough's community radio, Salam Radio. Salam Radio. 106.2 FM.
Assalamu alaikum, good evening, and welcome to Wealth Made Simple. I'm your host this week, Kieron Bateman. Shaz will be joining me shortly. He will be arriving on Zoom. But until he gets here, I'm all on my own. So feel free to get in touch with the studio. You can call us on 01733 602 133, or you can text us on 07411 191 062, or you can comment on any of the live streams on Facebook, YouTube, X, or Twitch. And so, without further ado, I'll get into this. Shaz is just updating his Zoom. He's letting me know. So we're going to get a play-by-play of this. This week on Wealth Made Simple, we are covering something we discussed last week that we said we would cover. So I'm a man of my word. Which path to choose? All paths are hard. Do you pick the easy path for now that incurs its own sort of hardship, or do you put a hard path in front of you now for an easy path later? It's just a bit around all of that. Now, you know, whatever path you choose has to be right for you, whether it's an easy path now or a harder path now. But in my opinion, and I'm fairly confident saying this, all paths are hard. Doesn't matter whether you choose the path of an entrepreneur, whether you choose to do the bare minimum and enjoy life to the absolute max with what you've got, or whether you want to stay humble and just have all the bare necessities covered and not need much else. It's entirely up to you what you want. But every path you choose is hard. So this episode is more about picking your hard, choosing which hardness you want. Now, some people do choose to do the bare minimum and work throughout their life, and their lifestyle choices can align with that and align with that level of ambition. The hard comes when, prices go up, things are more expensive, or when their lifestyle doesn't match what they're bringing in because of what they're doing. So for some, the pursuit of a high-level career or achievement or financial success is not that fulfilling at all, and I completely get that. That's each to their own. You might find contentment in just having the basic needs, enjoying life's simple pleasures without the stress of pushing and striving and working every day, doing long hours, and all the rest of it. But the flip side of that is you might get, for example, every weekend off and go out partying, go out doing what you want and things like that. But then come Monday, you're back to the grind, and you're going to be doing that for a long time because there is no getting off the roundabout at that stage, is there? But if that's what makes you happy and that's what makes you content, far be it from me to dissuade you otherwise. But if you do have, a work dominant life, then are you going to see your kids grow up? Are you at home every day for them to see what you're doing, or do they see you essentially at a distance working? Which is more important? The money to give them the lifestyle that you want to give them, or being there all the time? I can't answer that. I don't have kids, so don't shoot the messenger. I'm not lucky enough to have had children yet. But choosing to do just enough to get by can be a way of prioritizing your work-life balance. And I'm not here to say that that's wrong. I choose, and Shaz chooses, to work a lot. But, it's one of those things that I like the lifestyle I've got. I like when I do take time off, that I can take time off and everything is sorted. I don't worry about much. And Shaz is very similar. Whereas Some people don't like to work as much. They want to enjoy their life more. In my experience, I'm going to be honest here, I prefer to work hard for a shorter period of time and then once that short period of time has elapsed, then I can enjoy myself for a longer period of time later on. Whereas a lot of people don't have the patience for that. Yeah, and that's completely acceptable. That's entirely up to you. Mr. Nawaz, are you with us? He says, "Can you hear me?" We might have a Shaz. Do we have a Shaz? No, we don't have a Shaz. Oh, that's a shame. I was looking forward to that. I will leave his mic up, and as soon as it starts working, I'm sure we'll hear his beautiful voice coming through the line. Because I'm not sure what I've done wrong here. But clearly, I'm at fault. But anyway, going back to which path you choose. If you're prioritizing your work-life balance and you feel that you would rather have that than a business or a long career, you can do both. I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying that. But in general, you will need... Can you hear me, Shaz? Maybe? I'm so sorry, we're having some technical issues. Let's try and get this sorted. No. I'm pushing buttons and I don't know what's going on. I mean, I should know how to do this. It's a Zoom call. Not difficult. He says. It's one of those things, isn't it, that this is the path we choose. And currently, let me put that in. Shaz, can you hear me now? No? No. I got nothing. Or is Shaz on a different channel? That's the question. Let's try that one. No. Okay, well, this is going to get interesting. I'm sure we'll figure this out, but curious and curiouser. If anyone has any ideas, feel free to get in touch with the studio, and I'll see if I can implement them. But going back to which path to choose, and both paths being hard, is choosing not to go down the heavy work path, and you can find your fulfillment in non-work activities or having a minimalistic approach to life. And if you're very risk averse, these are the ideals and the traits of people who are generally fairly content to have that path set before them and go along it. You'll do what the majority, and that is ultimately the majority of people. Let's be honest, we'll go to work. We'll work. Has the government increased the age yet? Is it still? I mean, let's be honest. Most of us are going to be working till 70, if not later. Pensions ain't what they used to be, are they? So, unless you've got some savings, it's going to be work weekend, and you're going to work for 50 years. Oh, I hear a Shaz.
Hi.
Oh, hi, Shaz. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm all good.
Work weekend. I thought that sounds like me. I better come in and join.
Yeah, I've missed you, man.
Missed you too, my friend.
I'm here now. It's good to hear your voice.
Likewise.
How is Pakistan?
Nice and warm. It's about 28 to 30 degrees, and thereabouts.
I'm sorry, we're having a bit of breakup. Bye, Shaz. Bye. Not jealous at all.
How are things at home? Okay.
Good, good. Glad to hear it. So yeah, I was just covering off for our listeners
Hmm.
the difference between the two paths. You've got each path is hard. Whether you choose to do the bare minimum and coast by with just enough, or whether you don't have a choice and you do the bare minimum, do what you can, but it's still only just enough, or whether you dive headlong into the kind of things that you and I do, which is work, 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 work. There's a Rihanna song in there somewhere. And but the benefit of that is that later on things will get easier. And it's the majority of people I've personally found tend to do the former. They work just enough to get everything sorted, and then it's free time, then it's their time, then it's time to find something that they find fulfilling. Whereas I find work fulfilling. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody's different, whatever anybody does, whether it's sit at home and do nothing, or work as many hours as they can per day, everything has an upside and a downside. And I think most people tend to learn that as they progress in their life and their career. And you and I have said many a time, you can have anything you want in life or in business more often than not, as long as you're willing to pay the consequence.
Yeah.
And the consequence is different and the payoff is different depending on what you want and what you're looking to do. But we've also learned, Kieran, haven't we, that different people have different aspirations, different needs, different values, different ways of working. We're all wired differently. So as long as something works for a person and they're content with it, then that's all well and good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, prime example is what day are we on now? We're on Monday. So it will have been.
I can't believe you've forgotten the day.
No, well, you'll realise why in a second. So on Friday, I got up for work on Friday morning. I was in work at 11 o'clock. So I was, up maybe 2 hours before that. So I was up at 9, in work at 11. I finished one job, I should clarify. Finished one job at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I then hopped in the car, drove to another job, which I started 5 hours later at 10. So I had a bit of a break in between, but started at 10 p.m. Finished that job at 3 a.m. Well, 3:30 by the time everything was all said and done. Got home for 6, started another job at 7, and that overran and we had some technical issues, and then I didn't end up getting to bed till 2 o'clock Sunday morning.
You're obviously not working hard enough, are you? That's part of the problem here.
Yeah. Clearly, that's part of the problem. But that, yeah. And I mean, I was exhausted. Thankfully, that third job was a remote job. I could do it from home. But I'll be honest, by the time it got past, the 30-hour mark, I was not doing great.
Yeah, understandably. Yeah.
But
sometimes, I mean, you've got to do what you've got to do. Needs must.
Yeah, needs must. And I mean, it was a hard.
It's a hard slog, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a real hard slog.
Doing that kind of a shift,
Because I mean, I was 7 hours off of being awake for 48 hours straight.
Yeah, you've done well. I don't think I could do that nowadays, to be honest with you, Kieran. But I mean, I can do a good hard stretch, but that's going some.
But
so,
do you
well
know
done,
what? I got so come 9 o'clock on the Saturday morning, I was really struggling at the 24-hour mark, and I kept myself busy, kept my mind active, kept talking and doing stuff, and by the 30-hour mark, I actually felt okay. Shockingly.
How many cups of coffee did you?
I'm not going to answer that on air. I'm pretty sure I had enough caffeine in my system to show up on a drug test.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah. But yeah, then I crashed out and I slept for 12 hours, which was
That's a long time for you, isn't it?
yeah, it's a long amount of time. But then I felt like 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon, I've wasted most of the day. Thankfully, that was a day off. Been back in work today, so I did have some time off. This isn't a woe is me. But my point is, the benefit I'm going to reap from doing that is well worth the cost it was to me doing it in all that work in that short amount of time. And I say all that work in short amount of time, I mean, I did essentially 5 days work in 2.
And some people will say, "Oh, that's crazy. That's not good for you, mentally, physically, whatever, so on and so forth." Others will say, "You did what you had to do to get the job done, and now you can obviously move over to the next stage of whatever you're doing in that particular project." And so that proves the point that I always make is we're all different, and
and I mean,
different is good.
Certain deadlines have to be hit, don't they? You don't get a choice in that.
Yeah, of course.
And if other people have delayed their work so that you get it all the last minute, I'm not going to miss my deadline because other people have made it harder.
Yeah.
So I didn't.
Yeah.
But
what?
Yeah, that's the path we choose, isn't it? That's the hard part of doing what we do.
Yeah.
But sitting at home doing nothing for me would be far harder.
Yes. Yeah. You can do it for a week or 2 or 3 or 4. I'm just saying one could do it for a week or 2 or 3 or 4 when you're wired the way we are, and then you just think, I'm going nuts.
Yeah. I mean, after a week, I'd probably start redecorating the house. Putting some shelves
Again.
up.
Yeah.
Again. I'll take some shelves down just to put new shelves up.
Just to keep yourself busy.
Just something to do.
To put the same shelves back up, just in a slightly different place.
Yeah. That's the one. Exactly the same shelves in a slightly different place.
Yeah.
Just to give me something to do. I'll bring them down an inch or 2.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, have you covered your valuing contentment over ambition?
Not yet. No, I haven't got that far.
Okay. All right. Well, you're the driving seat, my friend, and I'm following your path.
Amazing. So, valuing. No. Yes, I have done valuing commitment over ambition. I'm sorry. I completely lied to you. I need to look at my notes. My notes this week are on my phone, ladies and gentlemen, rather than hard paper. I do apologise for that. It does mean that when my phone screen locks, I'm not reading my notes. Shocking.
And then we've got prioritizing work-life balance.
Yep, we covered that. I think we are now at risk aversion and financial sufficiency. And for
okay, so we've done the first 5, have we?
Yeah, we've broadly covered the first 5 of how.
By the way, I mean you. By the way, but yeah, okay, fine.
It's the royal way. We are a team on this show.
Good.
Yeah, it's always going to be a we, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, No, you continue.
I think this financial sufficiency and risk aversion again is based on one's initial mindset, because there are some people out there who will say, "I just want to do it," and I've heard this numerous times. By the way, is I've worked out my monthly costs. As long as I can meet them, that's all I want to do. I don't want to do any more whatsoever. They might do a bit more over a number of months, just to have kind of a slush fund, a rainy day fund, and that's it. That's all that they care about. There are others, obviously, on the other side who just want more and more and more. As is, bigger house, bigger car, bigger, better, more holidays, so on and so forth, and then they'll adapt and adopt a plan that works for them because they want like some of those finer things in life, and they understand that the minimal amount of effort usually isn't going to get them to that particular stage and state. They have to do more work, whether it's working harder, working smarter, using leverage, which we've talked about a lot, which people tend to find out about later on in their career journey. That's not something people learn about or know about on day one, unfortunately.
No, it's not.
And yeah, absolutely. And with that, they then end up adopting, whether it's a natural stance or something that they have to develop, is a higher appetite and a bigger appetite for risk, and they tend to become a bit more entrepreneurial in the way that they do things, because it becomes a high stress role, just because they are now looking to do things in a different way, because they want to earn more than what other people are earning. So they have to do it differently, because if they do exactly what everybody else does, then they'll most likely be on the same income as everybody else is. And they realize that they've got to take risks, and they've got to learn to adapt, and they've got to learn to find a different way of working. And that just means taking more risk.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, so interestingly, speaking of whichever path you choose, which is the subject of this episode, I had a conversation. I got together with a group of friends, and we were just generally talking about, what's going on for the rest of the year, how much work we've got. One of them has left one job to go to a much better paid version of the same job that he did. So he upgraded himself. He then got made redundant from that position because the company went bust, and he's now still kept the same increase in salary, but gone to a more secure company. So he's had essentially 3 jobs this year, but his priority is his kids, his family, and pushing up the corporate ladder isn't a direct priority for him. Whereas one of the others is extremely happy doing what he does. He works from home. He does 5 hours overtime a week, and he's happy with that. And then they come to me and they ask me what I'm doing, and I've got 40-hour stretches, and sometimes I'm out of the country, sometimes I'm in the country, sometimes in London, sometimes I'm in Manchester. I'm all over the place, and then as in a rare thing for, I think, people in the UK, we discussed our salaries, discussed how much we're earning doing what we're doing, and I think that's incredibly rare in this country. We don't really do that at all, and
not often, no. Right.
As you would expect, my friend who's content to just do 5 hours overtime is on the least money out of all of us. I'm earning more than the other 2, but I'm putting in more work than the other 2.
Surprise.
Yeah,
and exactly.
But all 3 of us are happy with what we're doing, and there's no criticism one way or the other. But when the friend who's earning the least amount says, I would love to be on the money you're on, it's like, okay, well then you need to do what I do. You need to work at the level that I work at. You need to put in the hours that I put in. I don't go to everyone's birthday party nights out and go out on a weekend, or I rarely get weekends. I give up doing that, and I see you guys in an evening once a month. That's when we have time for our friends, because I don't have that free time any other time. Whereas you're out every weekend, you've got nights during the week where you see people, you've got weekends out, you do that. That's your lifestyle, and that's great, and I completely respect that. But if you want what I've got, you need to do what I do.
Yeah. See, a lot of people see that duck just gliding on water.
Yeah.
And they think it's gliding. What they don't see, it's flapping its feet very, 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 and legs very, very, very hard to seem like and appear like it's gliding on water. It's not. It's working very hard beneath. And when one shares the efforts with other people, they say, "But I don't want to do all that stuff there. I'm sure there's a smarter way of doing it, but I wanted a similar or the same result or outcome." Well, I haven't found a way yet, Kieron. We can do that.
No, me neither.
All the people that I've ever met, okay, whether they've sold their company for hundreds of millions, or they are doing pretty well. They all the one of a few common themes are solid hard work, end to end.
End to end hard
That's
work.
Monday to Saturday. Yeah, Monday to Saturday, and it's not 9 to 5.
No.
As we've said many times before, success leaves clues, and that's one of the clues.
Yeah, being prepared to put that amount of effort in and that amount of work. And we'll continue on with this after this short break. We're about to go to a short break. And hopefully, when we come back, Shaz will be with us from the top. Amazing. That'll be phenomenal.
I hope so.
yeah, that'll be good. But in the meantime, feel free to get in touch with the studio. Let us know your thoughts. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on everything that we're talking about. Feel free to get involved. But for now, join us after the break.
This is Salam Radio, Peterborough's Muslim community radio. Broadcasting on 106.2 FM and online.
At Cake Inn, all our cakes and slices are freshly baked for that delicious taste. At Cake Inn, we bake 100% vegetarian and halal eggless fresh cream cakes. Delicious flavoured cakes for birthdays and weddings, ceremonies and all other occasions, with free customised messages, even balloons and candles too. Order for delivery or collection from Cake Inn, 489 Lincoln Road, PE1 2PE, and your cake could be ready within 2 hours. Find out more and order online at cakeinn.co.uk or call 01733 496 584.
Need a taxi that won't break the bank? Amar Cabs offers safe local rides at affordable prices, starting at £3.99. Get to Heathrow for £120 and London Stansted or London Luton for just £88. Private school and executive business class drop-offs are also available. Booking is easy. Go to www.amarcabs.com and download our app on Android or iOS or call 01733 555 888. Wherever you're headed, Amar Cabs is just a tap away with reliable, affordable rides starting at just £3.99.
Satisfy your cravings at Ibrahimi Buffet Restaurant. Enjoy a tantalising variety of Chinese, Italian, Pakistani and comfort food favourites, from starters to desserts. Kids under 5 dine for free, so bring the whole family to our restaurant at 63 Sycamore Avenue. Open every day from 5pm to 10:30pm. Call us on 01733 313131 or book online to reserve your table. Ibrahimi-restaurant.co.uk. Every bite is a delight at Ibrahimi Buffet Restaurant.
Are you a savvy shopper searching for the best food deals? Look no further. Adams Cash and Carry can help you save big. We're not just a food wholesaler for takeaways and restaurants. We also welcome household customers at our warehouse in Westwood, Peterborough. Visit our website and enjoy wholesale prices on everything from drinks to flour, rice to burgers and much more. To shop, go online and collect in store. Visit adamscashandcarry.co.uk today to start your savings spree.
2020 World Buffet is inspired by the best foods from around the world. See our teppanyaki chefs grill your food to order, or choose delicious Indian, Italian, Chinese, Mexican dishes and British favourites, all halal. 2020 World Buffet offers you unlimited food at a set price. Open 7 days for lunch and dinner. Catering, wedding and party services available too. Call 01733 566 320 or visit 2020buffet.co.uk. 2020 World Buffet, 35 New Road, Peterborough, PE1 1FJ.
Masterminds Tuition Academy is for your high schoolers, your something to provers, your subject strugglers and keen learners, your brave jumpers and fist pumpers. Affordable personalised learning plans are delivered through our centres in schools across Peterborough. But not to worry, we also provide online and home visits with flexible timings. Whether it is maths, English, science or 11 plus, Masterminds is a must. Find us on all socials and visit our website mastermindstuitionacademy.com or call us on 07516 166 003. Masterminds, master the matrix.
You're listening to Peterborough's Community Radio, Salam Radio. Salam Radio. 106.2 FM.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back, or welcome to Wealth Made Simple with me, Kieron Bateman, and...
Shaz Nawaz.
It's working this time. Excellent. He's with us from the top, ladies and gentlemen. Excellent.
And I'm glad to be here, just so you know.
Glad to have you. So, before the break on Wealth Made Simple, we were talking about which path to choose, which path is right for you in terms of... Because we had a conversation last week about, every path is hard. Taking the easy path is hard in some respects. Taking the hard path is easy in some respects. But every path you pick is hard. So you've got to pick your hard. And I'll just quickly recap what we've covered. Is that if you are going to take what is perceived as the easier path, you're doing less of the things. So you're working for you. You're working, in your day to day for your weekends. You're valuing your contentment over ambition. You're prioritizing a work-life balance so that you've got more life than you have work. You're having a reduced stress and avoiding burnout with what you're doing because you're not putting as much into it as perhaps you could, and finding fulfillment outside of work rather than inside of work with other activities, and having a fairly minimalist approach to life, and being fairly risk averse and just making sure that you've got the bare basics covered. That's kind of where we got to before the break, and this next point is about what is enough. What are your thoughts on that, Shaz?
Again, I think this partly links into your first point on this particular subject about being content. And someone asked a very famous person who's now running to be president again of the United States, and said, "You're a billionaire. How much is enough?" And his answer was, "Oh, do you feel you have enough?" And his answer was, "You can never have enough." And I'm not saying anybody should agree with that or even disagree with it, but it's again a matter of perspective. And I guess enough is about looking at how your life is, and are you happy? Are you content? Is the effort worth the result and the reward? And are you balanced and satisfied and content? I think content is such a powerful word and has such a powerful meaning, and it's such a powerful philosophy that we sometimes tend to underestimate it. But if you're happy within,
you're happy
then
without.
I think, it's exactly, you're happy without. And if you're not, then something needs changing. And it's not always about the money here. It could be a relationship you're in. It could be where you live. It could be something else that's going on for you, where you entered into a particular commitment that's causing you problems. Generally speaking, as you know, with the work that you and I do, it's working with property investors, and sometimes they end up signing to a commitment, whether it's a personal guarantee or some form of collateral or a loan, which is causing them great pain, not just financially, but sleepless nights, so on and so forth.
If I can ever avoid it, if I can avoid it, I don't give personal guarantees.
Yeah, but people are doing this stuff in, and then they say, "I've had enough of that. I won't do that again." But generally speaking, I think most people would assume we were talking enough about how much money one has and how much satisfaction that brings them. And I guess it's looking at, am I happy with my life overall, and am I happy with all the amenities, if I can use that word loosely, that we have as a family or as an individual if you live on your own? Is that working for me? If it is, then it's enough, I guess. If it isn't, then something needs to change.
See, for me...
But enough, if enough isn't enough, then you've got to think about, is the extra worth the extra? If the extra is worth the extra, then the extra means you've got to do more work usually, or find a different, smarter way of leveraging or doing something else to get the extra, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
And I've kind of complicated it, but yeah.
well, no, I mean, so I agree that, when is enough enough? Does it ever have to be enough? I do kind of agree with that sentiment, but I mean, for me personally, enough is when, and some of this is financial. I'm not going to lie, is when I have at least a year's salary in the bank, and at least a year's salary in investments that are growing. So that's 2 years' salary that I need to save to do that. And having enough there to go, oh, the car needs a service. That's however much. Okay, fine. The car needs this. Okay, fine. The house needs this. Okay, fine. Boiler breaks down. Okay, get a new one. And being able to not worry. Because for me personally, I am more concerned about not being able to do those things, and that keeps me up more than having to work hard to get enough money to be able to afford to do those things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely does. Absolutely does.
For me, enough is enough when I don't need to worry.
I think a lot of the time, Kieran, what happens is we end up making it harder for ourselves. So there's this particular way that you and I have shared, and many others have shared in different forms, which is living within your means. And unfortunately, what I find is many of us don't live within our means.
No.
We end up spending more than what we're earning, and then we're just chasing our tail all the time. And as you've said, oh, the boiler breaks down. Oh, the car breaks down. Something else happens, which we don't expect. And that adds to the additional burden that we're already carrying, which we shouldn't be carrying.
Yeah.
So we end up taking... See, a lot of people say, I'm risk averse. I don't like taking risk. But let's look at your income and your expenditure. Your expenditure outweighs your income. So you're taking a phenomenal risk there of spending more than you're earning and trying to catch up. Okay, whether it's robbing Peter to pay Paul or whatever they're doing in the hope of having a few irons in the fire and something's going to work out. And so you think you're not going to take that risk in business if you have a business, or at work if you're an employee. But for your personal status and situation, you're taking an enormous risk, and you think you're risk averse. You're not risk averse. You're very risky, but you're only very risky
blind.
in a certain. You're risk blind, but you're only so in a certain kind of compartment and department of your life, as opposed to in all aspects. So you're inconsistent and you're incongruent.
Yes.
And
yeah.
when that dawns on people, some people change the way that they do things, which is obviously enlightening for them and helps them have different results.
Well, I mean, even if you're living within your means, but only just within your means, and you're living, there's exactly the right amount of month left at the end of the paycheck.
Yeah.
So you're not living above your means. You're not getting yourself into debt. You're living exactly, but then the car breaks down, and that's a £500 bill. Boiler goes, new boiler, £1,000 plus installation. Yeah, I don't know how much that costs. I'm just making it up now, Sod's law says both things are going to happen at the same time. So suddenly you're down £2,000.
Oh, I did myself. So coffee maker went down. Okay. Microwave, dishwasher, and also the washing machine. In a space of like 6 months, Kieran.
Yeah. And that
so it happens.
And that's the thing. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, when these things happen, how do you budget for them?
Exactly.
Automatically you are now playing catch up. What happens come, we're rapidly approaching December. How do you afford...
A month when none of us spend any money whatsoever. It's a good money saving month, isn't it?
Exactly. It's a great money saving month where no kids want anything new, and nothing big happens that costs a lot of money. How do you pay for that if you're living paycheck to paycheck?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean,
I agree with you. Being risk averse and then living paycheck to paycheck, I think, is being risk blind, not risk averse, because something will always happen. And here's the crazy thing. Here's a crazy thought, and I'm going to let this one percolate for a second. Before you had a car, before you could drive, think back. You looked at the price of the car. You looked at the price of insurance and fuel, and then you looked at your monies, and you wondered how anyone can ever afford to drive a car. And then you get a car, and you put petrol in it or diesel, and your lifestyle doesn't really change. You find the money. It's suddenly there. And if you got rid of the car, that money would no longer be there. You wouldn't suddenly be up, £80, £100 a month, however much you spend on fuel plus the cost of the car. You wouldn't be up that amount per month if you stopped having a car. But the money is there when you have a car.
It's that old joke, isn't it? That I'm sure many have heard, where one friend says to the other, "I've worked out, had you not smoked since the age of whatever, you'd have a plane by now." And the responsible, you don't smoke, how many planes do you have?
Yeah.
So the money still gets spent somewhere, somehow.
Yeah. But this is my point, is that as crazy as it sounds, living with a limiting self-belief and a limiting belief, and this is more of a mindset thing than a path thing, but it's kind of links. If you believe there isn't enough money, there isn't enough money. If you believe there's enough money and you put the work in, there will be enough money.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy, but if you've ever smoked and given up, you know that when you smoked, you found the money to smoke. Even when you were as broke as could be, you found the money to smoke. And cigarettes have never been cheap. If it's something that you fundamentally feel like you need, you find a way to afford it. And this is and this is true of everything. And so last week we made this reference, and we flipped that entire concept on its head. And we said, save up enough money to travel first class once. You'll keep finding enough money to travel first class the rest of your life. I believe. Yeah, if you enjoyed it enough and you think the extra is worth the extra and you find value, absolutely, yeah, you're right. Yeah, so that's when enough is enough. Enough, for me personally, I think, is when there is enough there that there is no such, that you do not stress and do not worry. Your house is, physical material things are enough when they are enough, if that makes sense. When you don't need to worry about them. If you're worried that you won't be able to afford next month's mortgage payment, then you don't have enough. If you're worried that, your house isn't big enough to support your growing family, you've got a 3-bedroom house and 5 kids, then your house is not enough. You need a bigger house. And you need to work to get it. Yeah. Whereas, and you see this quite a lot, if you're at a later stage in your life and you've worked and you've been diligent and, your kids have all grown up and left home, and you've got a 5-bedroom house and just 2 of you live in there, or in some cases just 1 of you live in there, that's probably too much. And you probably need to dial it back. Yeah. But I can't answer that question for you. You've got to answer that yourself.
Yeah, because it's about one's personal contentment. And quite often we have to give up what we have now in order to have something bigger, better, different in the future. And what I find, Kieran, is most people aren't willing to give up what they have now, whatever that might be, whether it's time freedom, or it's some other form of physical thing that they might have. They don't want to give that up. I want to keep this, and I want something different, bigger, better in the future. But to have both is going to be very, very, very difficult. And you have to do a lot of work. So if you give this up now and then work slightly differently, you can have that thing there, whatever that thing might be. But people aren't willing to give up what they have now because they want that the partly the instant gratification, partly the joy of having whatever they have now, and because they're not willing to give that up, they won't get what they want because they don't have that. I wouldn't say hard-nosed approach. I'd say that disciplined approach of saying sometimes you just have to wait. It's like our parents more often than not say, if you do X, then you'll get Y. If you don't, then you won't.
Yeah.
In terms of helping out in the house, whether it's washing the dishes or washing the car, going back to our days, when that was done manually, I
used to make a lot of money washing cars.
Yeah.
I used to go up to the top of the street and knock on number one's door, ask them if they wanted their car washing. I can't have been more than 10 years old at the time. Knock on the door. Yeah. Can I wash your car for a £5? And I'd work my way down the street, and I'd do every house. And I made for a kid, I made about 100 quid.
And that was 60 years ago, Kieran. I mean, imagine what a fiver was then.
Well, yeah, but quite. I mean, this was the 90s. But I wasn't out playing with my friends. I was, working, as it were.
And see, that discipline and that approach has helped you, obviously.
Yeah, it shapes the man
over the years now.
Yeah,
it shapes you who you are today.
Yeah.
And that I think sums up nicely this whole first part that we were talking about in terms of effort equals reward.
I've got one more example.
Go for it.
I'm in a very privileged position right now. I'm not going to say that I'm not, but I'm in a position where when my partner said to me that she wanted to go back to uni to do a course to get the qualification that she wanted to do, the job she wanted to do, I could say yes to her. And I know that's a very privileged position to be in. But she had to do that. She's had to give up work, full-time work. She's gone down to part-time work. She's gone back to uni. She's doing her course. She's loving every minute of it, which is fantastic. I'm so happy because I'd have been miserable if she was miserable. But she's enjoying it, which is great. And at the end of it, she's going to be able to get into a job that has the potential to earn far more than what she was earning or could earn in her previous roles. But we had to take the hit and go back to basics for it to happen. So we've got to take a step back to go forward 3 steps.
Yeah, but you've given up something that you haven't or had, let's say 6 months ago, to then invest in something different. And what people see it as a cost, as a penalty, as something penal. It isn't. It's the investment. You make that investment, and you know what? Let's be totally frank about this here. It's not always going to pay off. It's not always going to work.
No, it's
you're
not.
going to learn a lot on that particular journey, and that will lead you to something else, somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's like going on let's call it an adventure, if I can, into the woods. You go left and you go right and you go up and you go down, and sometimes you get lost, but you find a different trail, a different path, a different way, which you wouldn't have done if you weren't willing to try
Explore
things and go on that adventure. And if you just follow the path everybody else follows, down the woods where they're taking their dog for a walk. or whether they're going for a walk with their friends, family, partner, whatever, you know. So that element of adventure and I'd call it a risk as well, and it being intrigued.
Yeah, because I mean,
takes you to weird and wonderful places.
Because you might end up wandering through the forest and come to a cliff edge, and go, well, I can't go any further this way. Well, that didn't work out so well. Okay, time to double back and see where the other path goes, or find a different way, or, you know, you can't make everything work, but you won't know you. And I saw this. I can't remember where I saw it. Anyway, I saw this somewhere. It's not my own words, but nobody ever got to the end of their life and regretted doing things in general. You regret the things and the decisions you didn't make.
Yeah, it's that old Zig Ziglar quote, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, when you get to the end of your life, you want to be one of those people. You don't want to be one of those people who says, I wish I would have, I wish I would have, I wish I would have. You want to be one of those people who says, I'm glad I did, I'm glad I did, I'm glad I did.
Yeah, even if it doesn't work.
And there's so much wisdom in that, isn't there?
Yeah, there really, really is. But it's up to everybody. Everybody has their own path to take. But every path comes with hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, again, this has been battered to death, if I can use that particular phrase for want of a better expression. But if one's willing to learn and invest in themselves and educate themselves on an ongoing basis, that's going to give you a lot of enlightenment, and that's going to help you gain clarity on where you want to be. And the answer might be, I'm happy where I am. But at least you found that answer through going on a particular journey, as opposed to just doing it because this is what everybody else does.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, success and contentment come from knowing yourself, from inside, from being true to yourself.
And that's a journey, isn't it?
That's a lifelong journey. Yeah. I learn new things about myself. I'm going down a rabbit hole here, but I was driving down the A1, and on one day, and I was a terribly angry driver, terribly angry. Everyone not indicating. Everyone was driving poorly. Everyone was doing it. It was everybody else's fault. And I'm in the car by myself, driving along. Nobody can hear a thing I'm saying. I'm just saying it to the world at large. And I caught myself thinking, and I just went, you're being an angry little man today, aren't you? I mean, why? Why are we doing this? What purpose is this serving? And then the following day, I had to do exactly the same journey. And there was still the same type of drivers on the road, because I think they're always on the road. Only I'd had a day of contemplation and thinking about me as an individual, and me as my actions, and how it all affects me. And rather than getting angry at these people for cutting me up, I sat there and I thought, I wonder what sort of day they're having. Are they in a rush to get somewhere? And I started asking more questions rather than just getting angry. And then I thought, that's interesting. How you can have exactly the same journey with similar circumstances and two completely different reactions a day apart, purely because you've chosen to think in a different way.
Yeah, I had a similar experience in terms of traffic, where when you once come to Pakistan, or you go to this part of the world, the way that people drive is very different. And that's now enabled me to just relax on the road when driving in England. As long as someone's not doing something really reckless and stupid. And I've just come to the conclusion, Kieron, let it be. That wouldn't be a bad song either.
No, fantastic. I mean, that's got legs, that has. I reckon that'll be one for the ages.
I think we should explore that.
I absolutely think we
work.
should. Should we? I mean, we should start a band with 4 of us.
Yes. 2 of you and 2 of me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love this
And we
plan.
probably could have done. Yeah, but you just I know it's quite zen-like. We just think relax, and as you've said, someone's done something. Coming back to the street or driving analogy, because maybe they're a new driver, or they haven't quite noticed, or they're in a rush, or they're panicking, or something's going on. So sometimes just give them space. I don't know, like I said, don't do something really reckless where they kind of cut you up and you have to brake hard and you just about to have an accident or something like that. Or they're driving on the wrong side of the road or the motorway, even worse.
Yeah.
Apart from those kinds of things, just let it be.
Yeah. Is it really going to affect you in 5 minutes from now?
Most likely for most things not. And if it's not 5 minutes, let's say in an hour's time.
And on that note, on that bombshell, we will see you all same time, same place next week.
Look forward to it.
Stay tuned to Salam